how do we recognize our shadow? And I go through a myriad of ways that we see our shadow and project our shadow outside of us. And our shadow, of course, is everything about us that's unconscious, denied, repressed. So there are parts of all of us that we don't know because they're unconscious. So that's the first week. The second week is our parents, our partners, and our seventh house, because we marry our parents. And if y'all realize our parents are opposites, that means in the chart, the mother's here, the father's there. In the birth chart, we identify with our first house, and our seventh house is our partner. So everybody's on a crucifixion, whether we know it or not. We are all on this crucifixion of life. And integrating all four angles is our life's task. And the birth chart is so helpful in helping you understand why relationships repeat, why the unconscious, because we don't choose, the unconscious chooses our partners. And our mother and father have a lot to do with why the unconscious is choosing particular people. And then the first house, of course, is the part of us that we identify with, and the seventh is the exact opposite. And this is how you find out why the unconscious picks who it picks for you, because the unconscious is who chooses who we become infatuated with or mesmerized by. There's a part of us that's in the unconscious still, and that's why we project it out. And when you get to my age, I'm 72, it happens very rarely, but it does happen, which is really interesting. The third week is going to be about falling in love. Who do we fall in love with, and why do we fall in love, and how can we make that blissful experience much, much more conscious so that both people are more aware of their own inner opposites, the masculine and feminine within us, because everybody has a contrasexual gender inside of them, whether we're male or female. We all have both principles. These are principles, not genders. So whether we're gay or straight or whatever we are, we all have a masculine principle and a feminine principle. And we tend to project the one that we are not identified with. The feminine principle is the nurturing, the connecting, the relating principle. The masculine principle is the separating principle. So I will explain all of that. How our birth chart is a blueprint of our psyche. So before we can see these parts of us, they have to be projected. They have to be exteriorized. And they will happen repeatedly. And that's why we have repeating patterns. And then we wonder, why is this happening to me again? Well, it's happening until we can take those energies back and live them in a productive, conscious way. So that's the third week. And then the fourth week is, okay, let's look at your seventh house. What archetypes are there? What planet is ruling your seventh house? And your planet Venus, and the aspects that Venus is making. That will tell you details about what you have to integrate in this lifetime that are your requirements, because they're inside you. And so first, everything is exteriorized. As above, so below. As within, so without. So that the miracle of the one can be accomplished. Well, that is taking place inside of all of us. The fifth week is communication skills with our partner. How do we get our needs met? And how do we not communicate that is not effective? Because without communication, we can't have a good relationship with anybody. Communication is like food to the body to a relationship. So I give you different ways that we can communicate much more effectively and ways that communication is not effective, so that you know both. And so I go into detail about that. And then the sixth week is questions and answers, a little bit more about your seventh house archetypes. And then I'm going to describe what the ancients called the mystical and sacred marriage, which is the union of masculine and feminine that is taking place in everyone. Whether we know it or not, that is what relationships are about. Are connecting to our own divinity. And when we can connect to our divinity and our partner can connect to his divinity, then we don't have to project a god or a goddess onto another person, and can have a more equal and balanced relationship where we understand our differences and where we have things in common. And that divinity that we're projecting becomes our union with the divine and our ability to communicate with the divine in our everyday experiences. So I hope you'll consider joining me. I promise you will learn so much that you will be amazed at how this has been happening to you and how the universe has been begging you to see this part of yourself that you have disowned for too long. That's why relationships keep repeating. They follow us around like a ball and chain. Well, once we learn how to integrate our own opposites, then we have an equal partnership instead of codependency, or instead of one up and one down. And then we get to walk forward together. And my website is shadowdance.com. And you can go to scheduled events and click on the links and immediately shoot me your birth date, time, and place, because that is required. It's required to do this work. You really do need to know your time off your birth certificate. So thank you for listening, and hope to see you soon. Also, I do one-on-one consultations. So if anybody's interested in having one-on-one shadow work coaching or a one-on-one consultation about their 7th house, call me at 281-799-2900.